Hey guys, it's your girl Jo here, back at you with another video. Today I kind of wanted to do a delayed reaction of To All the Boys I Loved Before. I know it's really late, but I've been so busy with grad school applications and school starting that I did not have time to film a reaction when it came out. So it's better late than never. For those guys who have never heard of this movie, which you'd definitely have to be living under a rock to not hear about it, but basically it tells the story of Lara Jean, a young Korean American girl who lives with her dad and three sisters, and she basically is in high school and she writes love letters to 4 crushes, and she addresses them and everything but never sends them, and keeps them like locked in this little like box like that her mom left behind. The letters get sent out to those 4 guys that she wrote love letters to, and craziness ensues. I have quite a few things that I loved about the movie and what I didn't like about the movie, so I'm gonna go into what I liked first. I really loved Lara Jean. I found her character so relatable, actually directly to my life. Like, I am a huge reader, and in high school I literally would read books just to avoid talking to people. Like, I was very antisocial because I didn't want to feel rejected, or I didn't want to, yeah, like that was like a really real fear of mine. So I really related to Lara Jean's character in that regard. And also, like, whenever I had a crush, I always would have fantasies of that crush, and like every time I'd see that crush I would always like imagine what would happen if I told them how I felt. Like, I never told them directly. So in high school, like, I never had that like boyfriend girlfriend experience. But again, like, I understand why Lara Jean depends on that fantasy, which is the reason why I find her so relatable. I really love the aesthetic of the film, and the music is incredible. Lovers by Anna of the North is incredible. I have that song on repeat. I will probably have it playing during this video because I love that song so much. Another thing that I really love is the sister dynamic in this movie. Like, the 3 sisters have such distinct and great personalities that I found pieces of myself and my sister in all of them. Like, it's crazy. And to be honest, the way that Kitty and Margot and Lara Jean are to each other is the way me and my sister are with each other as well. So I think anyone with a sister can really like actually enjoy that aspect. And I love that there was like a feminine kind of solidarity in this movie with sisters. I thought that was so beautiful to see. Another thing I really loved was the diversity in this movie. Like, I thought that it's really nice to be able to see actual like different kinds of people in this movie. Like, you had an Asian American lead with, you know, just like an Italian American German guy like Noah Centineo, and you know, black. But it's just really nice to just see that diversity. Like, you don't see it, and it's nice to see an Asian American lead that is as fleshed out and vibrant of a character as Lara Jean. Like, that was really cool. That the movie definitely gets points for that. The casting in this movie was on point. Like, every actor in this movie did a great job with their roles. I really saw them as their characters. I didn't see them as their celebrity selves playing this character. I actually, when I see Peter Kavinsky, all I see is Noah. Like, I just bleed them together, and that's how you know that the role is being played extremely well. I love Peter's character because I love that he's not like the stereotypical jock. Like, we only see him in his like lacrosse uniform twice in the entire film, but it's not like he has this persona of like the jock. He has like a regular group of friends that like just looks like they just bleed with each other. Like, it's not like it's like segregated. Like, they don't have that whole high school segregated thing like in groups and stuff. Like, yeah, you have cliques in high school, but it's not like organized like the way that they show in Clueless or like in Mean Girls. Like, it's not like that at all. It's actually quite bled into each other, and a lot of times people are friends with the other, but there is still this kind of like classist structure in terms of like maybe all the gifted and advanced kids sit together and then everyone else sits in segregated like places. Like, I don't know, but I just like that they broke that trope. The chemistry between Lana and Noah, like, it's so palpable off of the screen. Like, you watch the movie and you just feel their chemistry. I know Lana is in a relationship with another guy, and that's perfectly cool, but I do think that they have an attraction with each other that just radiates off of the screen. I think that's the reason why so many people want them to get together, because they have such great chemistry on screen. But anyway, I I really do love it, and that's how you can really sell a romance. They did such a great job with that. There's quite a few things I didn't like about the film. One thing is that I wish that, like, Lara Jean had way more agency outside of Peter. Like, in writing class, we learned about this thing that the central character is supposed to have called the external and internal goals. So in the movie, it's obvious that Lara's external goals are that she doesn't want her sister to figure out about her crush on Josh, and also doesn't want to have to, I guess, engage with Josh, which makes sense because her character is very much an introvert. Like, we see that with the whole thing of the letters. Like, she doesn't want to confront Josh, so it makes sense of why she would agree with Peter to fake this relationship that they go on and end up falling in love out of it. But with Peter's side, it makes sense because he wants to get his ex-girlfriend jealous. I understand that initially, but then, like, Lara goes through this change where she goes to parties, and because it's in the contract, and she hangs out with his friends and stuff like that. And I guess from the outside, people are seeing it as a change, that she's not an introvert anymore. She's kind of doing extroverted activities. Therefore, like, it's an external change. But it's not like we really see, like, anything outside of that. Like, oh, it's because of Peter why she changes. Like, it would have been nice if at the beginning of the movie she had a yearning to change. Like, maybe she was bored with the way things were. Like, she had some longing from the very beginning to change, because then it would make sense why Peter would be the circumstance in which she changes, but she's changing kind of because she wants to, out of her own agency. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but that's pretty much, like, something I wish that this movie had. And it was kind of more like, okay, Peter's the reason why she changed. And to be honest, when you have an introvert kind of breaking out of their shell and doing things out of their like comfort zone, because I'm talking as like someone who is an introvert herself, it takes a lot to change that person. But it doesn't only take one person. Even if you end up falling in love with that person, or someone as gorgeous as Noah Centineo, it's not really enough for like one person to make a radical personality change. It's just not, like, it takes a lot more than that. So it would have been nice if, like, she started having relationships outside of him, like maybe with his friend group, or if she started to kind of do things that she never done before, like maybe, I don't know, write something for the paper. Like, she would never have done that, and then she takes the chance, or like show something outside of him. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, that was like one of the biggest things that I wish that we saw. Even her father in the movie like says, oh, I, like, since you've been dating or whatever, like, I think he says something to that extent, I've seen you like go out to parties and stuff like that, like basically insinuating that it's because of Noah why it's because of Peter that she's changing. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, that needs, I didn't really like that. Another thing I didn't like was the stereotypical, like, they can't break out of this trope, like this whole stereotypical mean girl of like just a straight up like devil woman. Like, bullies don't actually act like that. Like, people that are actually horrible people in high school are the people you least expect, and that do it under the table. Like, they're a lot more subtle and a lot more, I don't know, just like clever with the ways in which they exert their bullying than just being mean. And Jen's character was that. Like, there was nothing outside of Jen's character besides her jealousy and like her resenting Lara for something that happened like years ago. Like, you get what I'm saying? It's playing into the trope of like women pitting against each other just for the hell of it, and over a guy. It's like that same patriarchal behavior. Like, it's still there. So that's something I didn't like about the film, and I feel like they could have added some nuance to it, and they kind of missed the opportunity in that. I admit that I love the diversity. Like I said before, the diversity is great, but King Batch, like, all he was kind of just like, he had like maybe 4 lines all together, and I mean, he was just like Peter's best guy, like black friend, and that was it. Like, there was nothing really to his character. I didn't really understand why they were friends. Like, and it kind of even insinuated a little bit like, oh, like, I mean, he has money, so is that the reason why they're friends? Like, I don't know. It's kind of like weird. And another thing too is Luca. Like, Luca's character is probably the most underdeveloped character. Like, okay, like, he's a gay black man, all right, and he becomes friends with Lara, but then they become friends and all she talks about with him is Peter. So then it's like, what's his purpose? Like, he's her friend, but is he just like supposed to be like her girlfriend, like guy friend kind of thing? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's just so underdeveloped, and it's tokenism, and that was something that I actually didn't like. I wish that their characters had more to them. I have not read the books yet, so I don't know if in the books maybe they are fleshed out characters. I don't know if they have more like things to do with the story than what they did in the movie, but I just wish that there was more to their characters, and I wish that it didn't play into the same kind of racial perception that always black characters are in films, like we see in Clueless, like we see in all these, where you have the token black person that just has these one-liners and that's all, and then they just bend to the will of the central character. Like, I really can't stand that, and it happens way too often. Just the way that things played out, like, it didn't make sense. Like, letters go out, Peter gets a letter, Josh gets a letter, Josh sees, Lara pretends that Peter, like, she kisses him. Then they get into this, like, agreement to pretend to be together. That makes sense. They both have their own reasons of why they're doing this fake relationship, and it benefits both of them. I get it. It makes sense. But then, after that, Josh tries on several attempts to talk to her, right? Like to kind of, like, clear things up. She never brings it up. And then eventually they start to talk to each other, but it seems like they just never talk about the letter. So it's just like they move past it somewhat, like they move past it, but he doesn't like Peter. But then Jen is sufficiently jealous since the very beginning that they started pretending to be together. So then why play out the relationship as long as they did? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it just, it didn't really make any sense, and it felt like maybe there was a lot of things that was left out for the reasons of why they kept on going with it, because it seemed like all of it could have just, like, in terms of plot reasons, like, it didn't really line up of why it lasted as long as it did, and to that extent. And also, like, then, like, even their fight, like, didn't make sense. He was talking to Jen under the bleachers, Lara was hurt, but it wouldn't have made any logical sense for her to, like, have an argument with Peter about it, because that was their arrangement. So then it would have made sense if maybe she made up another reason of why she was angry at him to cover that up. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, there was, like, a lot of things. And then the whole thing with the trip, like, he was upset that she didn't sit with him, but then again, they're only faking, and he wanted to sit next to Jen. I get that at that point he had feelings for Lara, but the way that it happened, it was like they genuinely, like, were bickering as a couple, but against the circumstances that they originally agreed to in pretending to be a couple. Like, you get what I'm saying? It doesn't line up. Like, the plot just didn't line up. It took me 3 times to watch it. Like, the first time I watched it, I just took it at face value, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is such a great movie, and blah, blah, blah. But then, like, after watching it a second time and then watching it a third time, I was like, okay, yeah, like, this doesn't make sense. Like, why be angry at each other? Like, I feel like if I read the book, maybe it would make more sense. Like the plot holes are filled in the book that they are in the movie, and the movie's only so long, so they had to cut out a lot of details. But again, I just didn't understand of why they continued to be as long as they did. I'm glad they did, because they have some really nice, beautiful moments in the movie together. But again, that has to be supported with an agency to continue the rouse of just pretending to be a couple. You get what I'm saying? Outside of just, he's trying to make his ex-girlfriend jealous, and she's trying to avoid talking to a guy about possibly whether she has feelings or not for him. And also, I guess, like, another thing that really did bother me was, like, the floozy way that love was thrown around. Like, she says, like, oh, to all the boys I loved before. Okay, that was cute. Like, I understand, like, you were infatuated with them, and maybe you thought you were in love with them. But the whole flooziness of the usage of the word love in this movie kind of made me question at the end. Even when Peter admitted that he was in love with her, I was kind of like, what kind of love is it, though? Like, is it, like, you really, really like her love? Are you in love with her? But then again, like, like, it's just, again, like, those are just personal things. Let me know down below if you guys are bothered by any of those things, because I can't get my mind around it. It's just like, it's just so weird to me. Like, that word love was thrown around so much that it was like, okay, are they insinuating love as like I really, really like you? Or is it love like I'm actually passionately in love with you? Like, I don't want to be with anyone else but you kind of love. You get what I'm saying? Because if that were true, then why write 5 love letters to 5 different guys? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, the definition just doesn't make sense in the context of this story. But yeah, let me know down below if you agreed with anything that I said, or if there's anything that I missed that you noticed. Please let me know down below. My next video is actually going to be my delayed reaction of Sierra Burgess is a loser, so be on the lookout for that. That's quite exciting. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!